In 2027, Bill Belichick's Hall rejection might have taught us important lessons. We have reached 2027. After being rejected for induction into Pro Football Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility, Bill Belichick's only option is to follow his own advice. There's not much reason to turn back now. When the pre-Mahomes Kansas City Chiefs defeated his dynasty New England Patriots 41-14 in Week 4 in the Monday Night Spotlight in 2014, he was undoubtedly not in a contemplative mood. Belichick's "we're on to Cincinnati" mentality helped the Pats upset the Bengals 43-17 in Week 5 and ultimately led them to victory in Super Bowl 49. It also exemplified Belichick's frequently harsh dealings with media trying to follow the team. However, until it truly does, being a media darling doesn't help you get into Hall of Fame or win Lombardi trophies. As long as you're not trying to reveal the state secrets of his business, Belichick really has a reputation for being nice to football writers. Even while it looked a little self-serving to let the league's myth-making arm start crafting his figurative bust, he gladly gave NFL filmed behind-the-scenes access for biographies of his life and in-depth takeouts of his connections with players like Nick Saban and Bill Parcells. Even still, it's practically unimaginable that a sizable portion of the Hall's gatekeepers were out to get him, at least in terms of grinding personal axes by refusing him entry right away. Draw whatever conclusions you want about the likes of Hall of Fame executive Bill Polian, longtime architect of the Indianapolis Colts, mortal enemies of the Patriots, and a few former players who were on the committee, none of them implicated of any wrongdoing, even as the Hall issued a reminder Wednesday evening that anyone violating its selection process bylaws could be subject to removal from the process in the future. But believe me, there are a lot of extremely reliable journalists in this group, none more so than my respected longtime colleague Jarrett Bell. Incidentally, JB dedicated a significant portion of his week to investigating this issue and, in particular, providing fresh insight into the Polian rumors that were included in ESPN's first reporting. However, people are fallible. Belichick has undoubtedly changed over time. We have reached 2027. Additionally, by the next year, the Hall's voting procedure might be reduced, streamlined, or enhanced in some other way. The newly redesigned selection procedure is not well understood by the majority of outside observers. Numerous voters themselves have voiced concerns about the new protocols. Mike Sando, for example, said on social media that unintended consequences have happened as voters struggle with the new system while attempting to stick to their voting beliefs. To be clear, they do not set the ground rules. The procedure is decided by the Hall's board of directors, which includes NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, several of the league's team owners, a few Hall of Fame players, and numerous others. The method was changed in 2024 in an attempt to make selection more exclusive. The four-person class last year was the smallest in 20 years. And it's ironic that Belichick, the same coach who was well-versed in the league's rules in its less explored areas, is the one being trapped by these freshly enacted regulations. He was looking for advantages that his contemporaries had never thought of. Recall that in 2006, he had Doug Flutie do the first successful drop kick in the NFL in 65 years? What about the 2014 postseason game versus the Baltimore Ravens, where Belichick exploited a rulebook loophole by having running back Shane Vereen report as an ineligible receiver while deploying him in the slot, as if he was going out for a pass? In the meanwhile, there could be widespread confusion if a tight end position as an offensive lineman releases on a pass route. The league promptly fixed a loophole because the Ravens were not amused. Naturally, this is the same Belichick who was found guilty by association during the Deflategate controversy 7 years after he was fined a record $500,000 for the Patriots Spygate affair in 2007, regardless of whether he believed he was in a legal limbo or blatantly breaking the law. Additionally, it's possible that some voters thought there were good reasons to prevent Belichick from appearing on the first ballot. It's possible that some voters were a touch too committed to supporting older candidates who might not be on the ballot in a year, possibly rerouting a vote from Belichick with the belief that he would coast his way to enshrinement thanks to other votes he would undoubtedly accrue. The USA Today Hall of Fame voter sounds off. With Bill Belichick's rejection, we blew it. And perhaps Belichick's current predicament will spare his longtime quarterback, Tom Brady, from a similar situation when he becomes eligible for induction in 2028. in addition to losing 2 Super Bowls to still unbeaten Eli Manning. TB12 bears the same scarlet letters from Spygate and, more importantly, Deflategate as his coach. When it comes time to cast your vote for Brady, perhaps none of that will get in the way. We have reached 2027. It's also possible that Belichick will still be the head coach of the University of North Carolina at that time, and that the Tar Heels will have improved significantly since his Chapel Hill debut. Perhaps not. Not that his terrible 2025 ACC debut should have disqualified him either. Perhaps waiting a year will serve as a reminder that there are members of every Hall of Fame with asterisks attached, and that no process is flawless. After being inducted into Pro Football Hall of Fame, O.J. Simpson's life took a tragic turn almost 10 years later. The Hall contains former athletes who were suspended for gambling. The Hall contains former players who tested positive for prohibited substances. The Hall contains former athletes guilty of domestic abuse. The Hall includes former players who use stickum. Without a question, Bill Belichick will be inducted into the Hall, but with an asterisk. Is such a caveat deserved? It's difficult to think that even the majority of casual followers have forgotten about Spygate or the brutally harsh methods that BB frequently used. Voters for the Hall of Fame haven't, for sure. However, nearly everyone is aware of Belichick's record for a head coach. 6 Lombardi trophies, if not the 2 he won while serving as Purcell's defensive coordinator for the New York Giants. This includes people who aren't considered casual fans. Belichick's win total of 333 is second only to Don Shula's 347 in NFL history, but perhaps not everyone might agree with that. Ultimately, though, who hasn't heard of Belichick, if not today or this year? Who doesn't think he's one of the best NFL coaches ever, if not the best? And 50 years from now, a young football fan might question why Belichick wasn't on the first ballot in 2026 and permitted to join Canton's Sacred Halls. Given that Belichick is an NFL historian, it's possible that this will compel him or her to go a little deeper into the league's history, which Belichick may even find somewhat interesting. Here's a quick history lesson. Neither Vince Lombardi nor Bill Walsh were first ballot Hall of Famers. Lombardi, Vince freaking. It doesn't diminish their quality in the slightest, and most football fans don't even notice the difference. In 5 years, or perhaps a year and a half from now, most people will believe